Allow me to introduce myself.
I am the last sane sports fan.
I am a genius by trade.
I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly.
Hello everyone and welcome once again to The View from the Midwest. We'll try to keep it short today as I'm getting a little bit of a late start on the video and it takes a while to process it and everything, and helps to have a fast computer, which I do not. Let's get right to it though. We'll start off with the NBA, and one of the big questions right now is how good is LeBron James? Is he the best ever? Well, the facts are that he has led his team to 2 victories now in the NBA Finals with the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Golden State Warriors, in which he has basically had no help. And what I say by that, I mean no superstar help. The bench players, Dellavedova, J.R. Smith, not necessarily bench players, but they weren't counted on being starters prior to this series, prior to this year's playoffs, have really stepped it up. But this is really the LeBron James show right now. And I hesitate to fully give him 100% credit because Golden State is not doing what they have done all year, which is basically shoot the ball. They have become too enamored with the three-point shot. Basically, and I watched Game 1, and I've watched bits of Game 2 and 3. They're passing up open layups to kick it back out and take contested threes. That is not a recipe for winning championships, regardless of whether that's how you got there or not. You need to take the points when you can get them. When you're losing games by single digits, then you need to take the points when they're there. You need to not be taking three-point shots every single time down. Eventually, that's going to come back to bite them. Eventually, every single three-point shooting team, whether it's in college or the pros, goes cold. That is what is happening to Golden State right now. I still feel that they're talented enough that they can come back and win this series, but they've got to have their big people step up. Steph Curry's got to find a way to get over that injury that he suffered where he fell and hit his shoulders and neck on the floor. He has not shot well since then. But back to the main point, how good is LeBron James? This has been the big talking point on local radio, on national radio, TV, what have you. Is LeBron James in consideration for the best player of all time if he wins this championship by himself? I'm not going to sit here and say that he doesn't deserve to be in the conversation, because basically he will have won this championship by himself. But really, there's no answer to that. And that doesn't make for good talk radio. It doesn't make for good shows like this or whatever. But if you really think about it, nobody is ever going to fully answer that. Nobody is ever going to convince me that anybody but Michael Jordan is simply the best NBA player of all time. People who are older than me, nobody's going to convince them that anybody was better than Dr. J or Kareem or Wilt the Stilt or Larry Bird or Magic Johnson. People who have yet to come into the NBA. There's going to be somebody that they're going to watch that you're not going to convince them that that certain player is not the best of all time. But too often right now we want to label what we see right here and now as the best of all time. Michael Jordan won 6 NBA championships. You can say that, you can sit there and say that he won it with Scottie Pippen with all 6, and he had a great cast with that team that won the second 3 out of the 6. But if you really look at that first team that won, it was Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and a bunch of role players. They didn't have a true center. They had Bill Cartwright, but Bill Cartwright was basically the Robert Parrish of the Chicago Bulls, and not even that talented. He was that age. He was a body. He was a force in there to get some rebounds. That's basically all they did. But regardless of what side you stand on, I could sit there and talk about the pieces or lack thereof with the Chicago Bulls. People today will sit there and talk about the pieces or lack thereof with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Who's injured, who's not, who's playing well, etc. and so on. Ultimately, it boils down to whatever you believe is what is going to be true in your mind. As I said, nobody is ever going to convince me falling short of LeBron James basically doing what he's doing now 2 or 3 more times and winning that many more championships and at least equaling Michael Jordan, that anybody is better than Michael Jordan. And people who believe that LeBron James today is the best player of all time, nobody's going to convince them any differently. It boils down to what you want to believe. I believe Michael Jordan is the best ever. People who are older than me think Dr. J or Kareem or Wilt were the best ever. It all boils down to what you saw, what you want to believe, what criteria you personally want to believe it on. But again, we need to take it down a notch. LeBron is far from done in his career. He can still accomplish many great things. Let him accomplish those things before we truly start to look at where he deserves to have his place on potentially the Mount Rushmore of the NBA. Next topic that I want to talk about is, once again, the United States soccer team, the men's version, has come up with a big victory. It's only a friendly, but they played Germany today. Spoiler alert, if you have it on DVR, haven't watched it, go ahead and watch that before you watch the end of this video. The United States beat Germany 2-1. Again, defensively, the United States men's team has tons and tons of work to do, ground to keep up with. Their marking is just terrible, but that is an epidemic across the board in the game today. It's not necessarily just Americans. There are teams 10 times better than the U.S. team that do the same kind of thing. They just manage to get away with it a little more often than the United States has been able to do. But that being said, the thing that I take away from these two friendlies against the Netherlands, which they won 4-3, against Germany they won 2-1, the mentality, again, I talked about this a couple videos ago where it was just about U.S. soccer, the mentality that Jurgen Klinsmann has infused in this group, especially the young players. He has been there. He can instruct them on what to do. Everybody complains about his overzealousness, his comments in the media, this and that. That is your opinion. It's founded in certain instances, but there is no denying the belief that Jurgen Klinsmann has injected into this team, whether it's some of the veterans, especially these younger players. Bobby Wood scored the game-winning goal 2 times in a row now. Jordan Morris, he barely missed a goal here against Germany. He scored the game winner against Mexico. He scored an important goal against the Netherlands. He's looked solid, and this is a college kid. He hasn't even declared to go pro yet. He's going to spend another year in college unless they can finally start throwing millions of dollars at him. You look at Gyasi Zardes. He's really starting to come into his own. He's finally carried the form that he had with the LA Galaxy into the national team. The U.S. has got up-and-comers. Zelalem is coming up through the ranks now. He looked very good with the under-20s as they beat Colombia in the under-20 World Cup last night. So it's a really positive time right now for the U.S. men's soccer program, and a ton of that credit still has to go to Jurgen Klinsmann. There are plenty of detractors out there. They have reason to be detractors, but you cannot deny the fact that Jurgen Klinsmann is a big reason why they play the way that they do now. They are no longer just hoofing the ball up the field, hoping and wishing for things to happen. They are now making things happen. They are now actually a force to be reckoned with. Again, these are just international friendlies. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, look what we did in these past 2 games. We're going to win a World Cup now. No. That's still years and years down the road, if ever. But the fact that they are now capable of believing that they can beat these teams and going out there and putting it on the field. You see the on-field product. No longer are we afraid to play the Netherlands. No longer are we afraid to attack the German monster. You see good soccer being played, and now the United States is somebody that teams do have to worry about on the world stage. It may never apply to the World Cup, but again, baby steps. We may never see it in our lifetime, but it had to start somewhere, and I believe it has started with Jurgen Klinsmann. That is the view from the Midwest for today. What are your views on the topics that we talked about? If you're watching on YouTube, comment, rate, and subscribe. Give it some thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and comment there as well, or share it around with your friends. But until the next time, I'll see you then.